Season 2, Episode 28 of the SC Wonderkid podcast. Here with me, Alex Price here, being the host. It's going to be me by myself this podcast, but I promise you I'm going to go bold with many topics that happened this week, including Champions League with Lamine Yamal, Europa League with Man United, and I thought at the end, let me do an underrated 11 of players this season that impressed me an awful lot. And yes, Jared Bowen is not more underrated. He's the captain of West Ham. And Morgan Gibbs-White, that I beforehand would say he's underrated. Not anymore. So stick until the end for the FC Wonderkid podcast. I promise you it's going to be very bold. Before I start with the Champions League, I gotta salute the people that commented on YouTube in the YouTube comment section of the FC Wonderkid podcast episode 27. We had Harry Walker that said, "Glad to see you back. Thank you so much for this comment, Mr. Walker." Then we had the only Taps that had a fire emoji that we always appreciate, a fire emoji. Ask me any question that you would like as a topic for next episodes, a debate that you would like. Next episode, there's going to be a special guest, Luca. So if you have any questions, please go bold and tell me in the YouTube comment section, like the only Taps usually does. And Christine Demeze said the absence of Balde and Lewandowski was very noticeable. And I completely agree with what you said, Christine, because yes, those two players would have made the difference in the Champions League first leg against Inter de Milan. So yes, thank you everyone that commented in episode 28. Like, share, and yes, comment on YouTube. It's always a big help. And if you're listening on Spotify, 5 stars on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, if you could put the follow button, you will always be notified straight away when a new podcast comes out. And starting now in the Champions League, let's go to London first. And yes, Mikel Arteta suffered his first defeat in the Champions League with Arsenal in the last 2 seasons, okay? That's when he arrived in the Champions League. And yes, I'm not going to say it was tough for Arsenal fans, because losing 1-0 to PSG with this type of team, it's not shambolic, it's not crazy, but yes, you get the feeling that you could have done more. I completely agree with that, and we all know, and we repeatedly say consistently here in FC Wonderkid podcast, Arsenal are one left winger and a striker away of being always favorites in every competition they enter. It was clearly seen with PSG, and yes, Donnarumma, João Neves, Vitinha, Dembele. If this team wins the Champions League, no one's surprised. So naturally so, they beat Arsenal away. And now, yes, next leg in Paris. We've seen an English team, not destroy, but definitely surprise a lot of people in Paris. Manchester United a couple of years back with Rashford even putting the hat on Mbappe. That happened, but I don't believe we're going to have a remontada this time. I think PSG are going to go through. And I got to say here to the FC Wonderkid podcast listeners, I made a promise that if PSG wins the Champions League, I will go bold, and I will happily go bold seeing João Neves, Vitinha, Nuno Mendes winning the Champions League. The first Champions League ever of PSG in their history. Nuno Mendes makes it happen. Mo Salah, nullified, 0 goals, 0 assists. Everyone that goes against Nuno Mendes. Bukayo Saka, nullified, 0 goals, 0 assists. Best left back in the world. So I'm watching this match, Arsenal PSG. I'm incredibly happy of what's happening. I could have said like a year ago, 2 years ago, that Vitinha would be in that's still underrated 11 that we're going to be talking here at the end of the episode. But no, he's not underrated anymore. And it's not bold to say. It's a fact. A fact. I was going to say factus, but it's facts to say that Vitinha is definitely top 3 midfielders in the world, next to the names of Pedri, Jude, João Neves, also include him in those names. So seeing what Luis Enrique has developed with this team obviously makes him the man, the legend that can win the Champions League. And it would make sense for this team of PSG winning the Champions League, because I said it a couple of weeks ago, this PSG team is the best PSG I've ever seen in my life. The attacking options of Dembele, Kvisha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, that is a 19-year-old that is making history. We know he can lead football with the ability that he has. And João Neves and Vitinha are the best midfielders in the world. And the intensity that they bring, they're Barca made midfielders, Neves and Vitinha, but they're playing under Luis Enrique that pulls the best out of La Masia DNA of this 4-3-3 tiki-taka style of play and incorporates in the PSG style of play with Neves and Vitinha cheat codes that if they went to Barca, they don't need midfielders. We all know, but we're going to talk about Barca real close, real soon. But yes, Vitinha and Neves, they're Barca-tailored midfielders that are with Luis Enrique destroying with PSG. So, as I said, I think PSG are going to win in Paris against Arsenal. And I might be going bold at the end of this season. And shout out to Strasbourg that beat PSG 2-1 this weekend. Strasbourg, that is a team owned by Blueco, that is full of talents. Valentin Barco, André Santos, Emega, a wonderful striker, and I love to see Diego Moreira destroying one-on-one players in Liga. So a lot of talent in the Strasbourg team. So pay special attention at this team this season and next season, because rumor has it that Kendry Paez will be playing for Strasbourg instead of going straight away to the Premier League. So that's a big move for Strasbourg and also for Chelsea. It's the right decision. And now the main match in the Champions League, Inter de Milan, Barcelona, 3-3 first leg, and this is what Barca's doing all season. The best matches in football this season are all Barca matches. The 4-0 in the Bernabeu, that was a bold statement by Barca. The match in Estádio da Luz, 5-4. That was insane. One of the best matches this season. And the Atletico Barca game that ended 4-4. That was a roller coaster of match. And the common denominator is always a Barcelona match that is highly entertaining. So, wow. Barca keeps on doing what they do best. And yes, just like Christine at the start of the podcast I mentioned, said that the absences of Balde and Lewandowski were critical in order for this draw for Inter de Milan. Facts. If Inter de Milan faced Lewandowski and Balde from the start in this first leg, Barca would be leading, okay? Would be leading, no doubt in my mind. Because with Balde, with Lewandowski, Barcelona are the best team in the world. No doubt, okay? Well, what I'm saying. And now... we got a comment on last podcast too. De Pretorius on YouTube said, Barca fans call it flicka-flacka. And before I talk about the best player in the world, it makes complete sense for me to mention Hansi Flick. Because Barca win the Supercopa, win the Copa del Rey, are gonna win the La Liga. Elite remontada this weekend with Real Valladolid because of Hansi Flick. How he's programming this team to play with this intensity and actually believe that they're the best team in the world. Rafinha, Lewandowski, last season, they weren't perceived as the best players in the world. And now with Hansi Flick, with the switch of a button, and also Pedri with no injuries, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Pedri, they're top 10 players in the world of football. All four are in it, okay? And it's because of Hansi Flick and how he's valued up this squad with the style of play, the correct style of play. And I mentioned the match of Real Valladolid this weekend. How good is Fermin Lopez? He's underrated for how good he is, okay? Fermin Lopez is not as good right now as Dani Olmo. I give you that. But Fermin Lopez would start for 99% of the teams in football. How good he is! Elite! Okay, so one day, maybe Pedri, Gavi, you can't start them all. Maybe Fermin Lopez will be leaving Barcelona to City, to Bayern Munich, to an elite team. It almost reminds me, they all went out like Thiago Alcantara. Thiago Alcantara was never as good as Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. So what happened to him? He went on a move. He went to Bayern Munich and joined Pep Guardiola. That was the right decision at the time. So, yes, I could see Fermin Lopez one day taking that decision, but right now, he's at Barca, he's at home, and he's quality. He was very important for this match with Valladolid. And last week, we saw the wave of the Ballon d'Or shaking up a ton, and things changed. Because now, Lamine Yamal is the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or for the bookies. And it makes complete sense after Inzaghi, the manager of Inter, stated, a talent like this only appears 50 in 50 years. I had to put 3 players on top of him. Naturally so, at the age of 17, he's the best in the world. And whoever disagrees, look, he's 17 and he already has so many haters. At the start of the season, I said I wouldn't pick any right winger ahead of Lamine Yamal. And yes, I'm including Saka, I'm including Salah, I'm including Rodrigo Goes. Lamine is the best right winger in the world. And now I state, Lamine is the best player in the world. He's irreplaceable with anyone. And this is what Barca does. They make players from La Masia grow up and want to have this belief of being the best player in the world. Where? At Barcelona. That's the power of La Masia. And Lamine Yamal is on a mission to win the Ballon d'Or as soon as possible. And we can all see clear as day that he will become the youngest player to ever win a Ballon d'Or. I don't know if it's going to be at the end of this season or it's going to be the next season. But this is the beauty of Lamine Yamal. He's inspired by Neymar the way he plays. He's got the talent of Lionel Messi coming from La Masia. You can see it. This is unprecedented. And I believe he's got the mentality of Cristiano Ronaldo. At least he's showing that mentality at the age of 17. Priorities, winning, winning, winning. He had his 100th game for Barcelona against Inter. He wasn't happy at all with that draw. That's what I like to see. Pedri, Lamine, the hearts of Barcelona. It's not just Pedri. It's Pedri and Lamine. They make it happen for this team. So, naturally so, I have to give this special mention to Lamine Yamal because this was the week that everything changed. He became the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or. Weeks on out in the FC Wonderkid podcast, I mentioned to you guys, Rafinha is the one with most goal involvements. Lewandowski is scoring all the goals. But Barca, without Lamine Yamal, Barca do not dominate. Barca do not win the way they win if they're playing their beautiful football. Lamine is fundamental for the best Barcelona. Rafinha, also, this season, fundamental. But it's different because without Lamine Yamal, the clock doesn't tick. It doesn't tick. And without Pedri, obviously. But without Lamine Yamal, the attack doesn't tick. I really wanted to say this, people, because yes, a lot of people state Rafinha Ballon d'Or, Rafinha Ballon d'Or. And in my eyes, Rafinha doesn't have the same talent level as Lamine Yamal. And Lamine is the Ballon d'Or player of Barcelona. And if it's not Lamine Yamal to win the Ballon d'Or, it should be Pedri in my eyes. The two most important players at Barcelona, the players that make the difference. They make it absolutely happen. Rafinha, fundamental. For me, top 5 players in the Ballon d'Or. But Lamine and Pedri, for me, are ahead. And yes, they're the heartbeat. And this is what Barcelona does. In the same generation, Pau Cubarsí, Lamine Yamal, 2 world-class players. One 18, the other 17. It's insane how good Pau Cubarsí is. Best ball-playing center-back in the world of football. Bastoni, Pau Cubarsí, but I'll go Pau Cubarsí because of the offside trap, the way he plays with Inigo Martinez in terms of decision-making, with a left foot, with a right foot. The distribution is elite. Elite. And because of Lamine Yamal, naturally so, gets all the attention, Pau Cubarsí hasn't been getting as much. But for me, absolutely generational of a center back, like right winger Lamine Yamal. Pau Cubarsí is a generational center back that we all see developing in football. So only La Masia does this. 2 world-class players in the same generation. Oh my days. So for the second leg in Milan, I believe Lamine Yamal is going to come up big time once again. And I think Barcelona are going to go through against Inter. And yes, Inter does beat Verona. But that was a very important match for Inter still to be in the Serie A title race. But yes, this match against Barcelona, I'm not saying this only because like Lamine put his Instagram photo with Dragon Ball character inspired with the turning. I don't know. It's Super Saiyan. Exactly. Super Saiyan. That's what Lamine Yamal was. He put an image on Instagram that he's becoming Super Saiyan, going to a next level. So I think that's going to be translated on the pitch. So I think Barca are going to go through against Inter de Milan. And I think PSG is going to go through against Arsenal. But leave in the comment section on YouTube down below your thoughts. Who do you think is going through? And like this video if you're listening to the podcast until now. Apple Podcasts and Spotify links will be in the description on YouTube too. Okay, people? And mentioning fast, I want to say about just a quick note on Real Madrid. We all can see now that Carlo Ancelotti will be leaving Real Madrid at the end of this season. And we all get the hint that it's going to be Xabi Alonso replacing Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. I still don't have my elite transfer targets, let's say, to recommend you guys that Xabi Alonso will be getting. I understand Zubimendi, I think, would be a player that both Arsenal and Real Madrid with Xabi Alonso will be highly interested. Jonathan Tah, I saw some reports, he can be signed as a free agent to Real Madrid straight away and go with Xabi Alonso. So expect in future podcasts me mentioning future transfer targets of Real Madrid with Xabi Alonso. But the news that I wanted to talk to you fast was that Rodrigo Goes could be leaving Real Madrid news. And that is a big mistake in my eyes. Why is it a mistake for me that Rodrigo Goes is leaving? If it's true. Because yes, reports say that Rodrigo has to meet with Xabi Alonso and then he makes this decision. But if Rodrigo Goes has the need and he wants to leave Real Madrid, it shows that this project, the structure, Kylian Mbappe arriving, it was not at the right timing. It was definitely not. And the truth of the matter is, Mbappe arrives at Real Madrid, he can have 36 goals, he can have all these hat-tricks, a hat-trick against Man City, 6 braces in La Liga, but 0 trophies. 0 trophies. That's what the Galactico fans will be remembering. And it's a year that Supercopa, Copa del Rey, La Liga all go to Barcelona. The triplet. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And if Rodrigo Goes is leaving after a season like this, he's clearly stating, I'm not as important as Jude, I'm not as important as Mbappe, and I'm certainly not as important as Vinicius Jr. That, again, that is a mistake that Real Madrid are doing, letting Rodrigo Goes leave if this happens. Teams that should sign Rodrigo Goes, Bayern Munich are going for Florian Wirtz. I don't think it's going to happen. But Arsenal and Man City, look, if Rodrigo leaves, these are the 2 teams that will be in pole position to sign them. And if there's a team, this is going to be kind of a conspiracy, but not conspiracy, more of a suggestion. But if there's a team that should get Rodrigo Goes, and they should be a bit handy about this, it's Man United if they get Champions League. Wait a minute, I know, maybe I'm being a bit deluded with this Rúben and Amorim talk when Man United with Real Madrid now talking here, but it's why. Real Madrid reportedly want Álvaro Carreras of Benfica. If Man United sign Álvaro Carreras with their buyback clause for 18 million and then sell Álvaro Carreras for 30 to 35 million to Real Madrid directly, Man United could be saying like, Rodrigo, instead of you going to Arsenal or City, we have Champions League football, and Rodrigo, come to Man United. And United, if they help Real Madrid with the Álvaro Carreras deal, look, they could have a say with the Rodrigo Goes move. Rúben Amorim convinced this man, but that would be the monumental different signing if it were to happen. And it's not the same as signing a Di Maria in the past, a Ibrahimovic in the past, a Paul Pogba in the past. Paul Pogba, well, he was one of the best midfielders in the world, but this time you sign a world-class player that Rodrigo Goes is in fact a world-class player, and there's a structure in place. So Man United, if they help Álvaro Carreras sign for Real Madrid by making it cheaper, if they have Champions League, they should 100% say to Real Madrid, if Rodrigo's leaving to any Premier League club, we should have pole position. We should have a guarantee to be the first bidders ahead of City and Arsenal. And that would be a win-win situation for both teams. Oi, oi, oi. So yes, I didn't say, I said at the start of this topic fast that I wouldn't be mentioning future targets in this video. But yes, Álvaro Carreras, I think it's not a doubt, but more something that we know that Álvaro Carreras should have interest to go to Real Madrid, being a Real Madrid academy player. And I can tell you, I know for a fact that Real Madrid have been scouting Álvaro Carreras in the last few months, and they are interested in signing this player. So let's wait and see if it were to happen. But a midfielder, a center mid, is crucial for this Real Madrid team to be signed. Because yes, the absence of Toni Kroos is very, very noticeable this season. The first season without Toni Kroos, who would say Real Madrid would be missing a ball distributor? Real Madrid would be missing a player to pass the ball at the right time, to pass the ball efficiently, and to dictate the tempo. That's what Toni Kroos did. And now that Toni Kroos is not at Real Madrid, everyone notices that the ball is not passed at the right time. They're missing it big time. And that's why I would like to see Arda Güler getting more minutes for this Real Madrid team. 1 goal and 1 assist against Celta. And yes, this season having 14 goal involvements with the amount of game time he has is quite good. It's quite good. So yes, that would be a big takeaway that I would say for the future transfer targets of Real Madrid. A center back, a left back, Álvaro Carreras, a center mid also. And yes, let's see if Rodrigo Goes leaves. But if he does, I believe Real Madrid will also be trying to sign a striker to be the number 1 replacement for Kylian Mbappe. So let me know in the comment section if you agree with all this Real Madrid talk on YouTube. Okay, people? Oh, and yes, is Lamine Yamal the best player in the world? Like I'm stating, tell me in the YouTube comment section if you agree down below. And if you're listening on Spotify, 5 stars goes a long way. And follow us on Apple Podcasts. Who is better one-on-one than Lamine Yamal? 49 games this season, 35 goal involvements. What we're seeing is absolutely historical, unprecedented. So let me know if you agree or disagree. And now, Europa League, Tottenham. That was quite a good win, an important win against Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt that has many good players, and I'm sure many top teams are scouting. But I wanted to mention Jean-Peter Raj to the FC Wonderkid podcast listeners. Can play at right winger, can play at left winger. Had a brief instant at Frankfurt. Didn't work out at AC Milan in the past, but now he's back where he's happy. And Bodo Glimt to getting to a semi-final of the Europa League. That's a win on their own. So yes, losing 3-1 to Tottenham, that was no surprise. It was a mandatory win for Tottenham personally, okay? But I want to ask to the YouTube comment section for next podcast, I'm going to also ask Luca. Should Ange Postecoglou stay at Tottenham, even if they win the Europa League? Lots of people that I know close to me say that he should leave, no doubt. Tottenham winning the Europa League because the style of play, the confidence of this team is incredibly low. So the standards are not high for this Tottenham team. So let me know. Do you think he should leave even if they win the Europa League? I'm of the camp that if Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham win the Europa League, I think he still should stay at Tottenham, because Tottenham winning a trophy? Tell me when was the last time that happened, and it was not named the Audi Cup as a trophy. So give him credits and let him have another season if he wins the trophy for Tottenham. And now for the more exciting part for me to talk about the Europa League was the match that nobody was expecting but me and some Portuguese people that know what Rúben is about, to beat Atletico de Bilbao away in San Mamés. Atletico Bilbao fans all hyped up. We're going to have the final of the Europa League here, so we're going to dominate Man United. What happened? You got dominated by Rúben and Casemiro in midfield. I was critical about Casemiro this season, but in Europa League, when the time matters in the big matches to win a trophy, no player on that pitch in that match against Bilbao was more ready to win than Casemiro. That winning mentality, he absolutely bestiality, I don't know the verb, but Casemiro bossed the Atletico Bilbao midfield, and Casemiro showed to the world why he's considered one of the best defensive midfielders in the history of football. I've really changed my stance with Casemiro. You can see the leadership. You can see the shape, the fitness that this man has now. Very different from Erik ten Hag. The intensity that he goes in moments. I love what Rúben is doing with this team in Europa League. And I love the fact that he rotates in Premier League. He's admitted Tyler Fredrickson, Harry Amas, Shidu Obi Marty starting. Shidoabi Martin, starting for Man United in the Premier League, becoming the youngest ever starter to play for Man United. This is what Rúben Amorim does. He prioritizes things, and now the Europa League is a priority to win. And some of you guys have been telling me, oh, you're not talking about Man United because Rúben Amorim is 16th in the Premier League. He's not doing too good. I'm sorry. Man United are in a restructuring, a rebuild currently. Rúben Amorim is doing what he can. And it's not his first season, Rúben Amorim's first season, that he's going to change everything. Definitely not in his first months. But he has significantly improved the players with potential in this squad. Lenny Yoro, Harry Amas, Harry Maguire, Amad Diallo, Rasmus Højlund now in the last few games. A lot of these players that have quality have been improving significantly their output, and they're accepting the roles on the pitch with the Rúben Amorim tactics. And the tactics, these are the tactics that can not win a match against Man City, win a Premier League. That's what Rúben Amorim wants to build at Manchester United. Not a team to beat Man City or Arsenal here and there. They want to beat consistently every team in the Premier League. And in order to create a style of play with this sort of ambition, you need discipline, you need consistency, and you need to trust the manager. And Rúben Amorim is the manager to win the Premier League for Manchester United fans. Look, he's just arrived, and in a few months, Rúben Amorim. This is a sentence of Man United, that it's Man United is the only unbeaten team in European competitions. That is a Man United high standards type of sentence. That is a sentence of a Sir Alex Ferguson team. Rúben Amorim in his first months made it happen. Okay? He's the variable of winning the Europa League. You wouldn't win the Europa League with Erik ten Hag. You wouldn't win anything of Man United's caliber with Erik ten Hag. You're reducing yourself to insignificance in the future. Rúben Amorim is gonna make the difference. He's gonna change this whole algorithm, and times are changing now. The mentality, the discipline, mediocrity is no longer accepted in Manchester United. So yes, you should say thank you to Sporting. Being Portuguese, I have to push this. Man United fans in 2-3 years time should say absolutely thank you to Sporting for Bruno Fernandes, for Rúben Amorim, and who knows, maybe for Victor Gyökeres or Morten Højlund if it happens, because both these players go to the Man United team, make you closer to Premier League winners. And don't think that Højlund wouldn't start in your midfield. Absolutely would start ahead of Ugarte or ahead of Kobe Mainoo, because Mainoo next to Højlund, boss midfield. But yes, say thank you to Sporting because of Bruno Fernandes and Rúben Amorim. Bruno Fernandes that this season is better than Martin Odegaard, is better than Kevin De Bruyne, is better than Cole Palmer, and only behind Florian Wirtz in my view, he's one of the best attacking mids in football. Bruno Fernandes has much more freedom, and he's enjoying to play under Rúben Amorim. Finally, a world-class manager, or to be considered by everyone a world-class manager real soon. He's improving now, Bruno Fernandes. So I'm really happy for what's happening to Man United and Man United fans. If you're still not happy that, okay, 16th in the Premier League, next season I can guarantee you that you will. I'm more confident now, definitely, with this Europa League form. So yes, let me know down below in the comment section on YouTube, who are you the most excited to see next season with Man United? Personally, me, it's Lenny Yoro, because I think Lenny Yoro is starting to play the right way with Rúben Amorim, and the outputs, he has the potential of being the best center back in the Premier League one day, okay? So let me know down below. And Anthony, Rashford, Luke Shaw, Lindelof, all of them are leaving. Who can stay in this Man United team? I'm sorry, people. Or Mason Mount even. Will he stay or will he go? Because Mason Mount, I could see him staying in the next season at least, because he can play at the 8, he can play at the 10, a bit like Pot at Sporting Pedro Gonçalves. If you know, you know. But Mason Mount has scored his for the first time in 400 days against Brentford, 2 goals in 41 matches for Man United. This output has to change, and I think it will. But tell me, what are you thinking in the YouTube comment section? And it's confirmed Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich are all leaving the Premier League, but I have a wish list of Tyler Diblin, Matheus Fernandes, Jamie Vardy. I would love for him to stay in the Premier League. Bilal El Khanous, what a baller that Leicester have, Moroccan baller. And Liam Delap. I hope all these players stay in the Premier League because they're just too talented. And if they don't stay in the Prem, other leagues could snatch them up. Look like this, the case of Victoria Carreras that was at Coventry. I went to Sporting. So, and let me know other players that are going to the Championship or that are in the Championship that you think could go to the Premier League that are incredibly good. And you can't say Joe Bellingham. You can't say Joe Bellingham. And now here at the end of the FC Wonderkid podcast, episode 28. Thank you for all of you that are listening until now. And I wanted you to end the podcast with a team, an 11 that I think is incredibly underrated, and I think these names are all valuable for you to have or to have the knowledge upon, to mention it in a conversation, to mention it in your friend group. I can guarantee you that all of these players are ballers and that they are underrated. So this is an underrated 11 of players this season. So in goal, Mamarchvili. Goalkeeper of Valencia, left back Maxime de Kuiper, center back duo Inigo Martinez and Acerbi. Inigo Martinez, one of the best free transfers I've seen in recent history. Right back Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace. Underrated midfield, insane Angelo Stiller, defensive midfielder. Then I have Frederic Oshens and Fabian Ruiz at the cam in this midfield. And the forward line, I have Mikel Oyarzabal at left winger, striker Luke de Jong, and right winger Brian Mbeumo that has 18 goals scored in the Premier League. But this is the last season I can consider him underrated at Brentford because he is definitely one of the best players in the Premier League. And if you don't consider this player underrated, Mbeumo, another right winger that you should know is Takefusa Kubo. In terms of form and goals, it's not his best season, but I can guarantee you that he has a lot of potential and talent, and he's underrated for the fact that he's not talked so much as he should. And I tried to put Pascal Grob in this team. That is also a good underrated name. I didn't, but I tried, I can guarantee you. And a Morita, underrated midfielder from Sporting, Japanese, and incredibly gifted. John McGinn, I don't consider him anymore. I don't consider him underrated anymore, just like Morgan Gibbs-White and Jared Bowen, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. And my question of the podcast here at the end, and that we will answer next podcast, episode 29, that I already said it's going to be with special guest Luca. It's who's going to sign Florian Wirtz? Is he going to Man City? Is he going to Bayern Munich? Or is he going to Real Madrid with Xabi Alonso? Let me know in the YouTube comment section. I'm going with Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich should 100% go all in for Florian Wirtz because Harry Kane, Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, Michael Olise, Bayern Munich are going to obviously win many Bundesligas with this team, and they're also one of the contenders, if not the favorites. They're not the favorites because of the manager, maybe, but definitely because of this team. There always will be contenders to win the Champions League with this trio behind Harry Kane. So let me know. Do you think he's going to Bayern Munich, City, Real, Florian Wirtz? Who's going to sign him? Thank you so much for listening to episode 28. I know I'm a bit of a mess saying so many thoughts at the same time, but you're listening, and I'm so thankful for that. And next week, we're going to have a big game here in Portugal. Benfica Sporting, decisive to win the title. Let me know also who do you think is going to win that game. So yes, thank you so much for listening to the FC Wonderkid podcast until now. 5 stars on Spotify goes a long way. Like on YouTube, comment down below anything that I will be answering. And yes, thank you for going bold with me in another FC Wonderkid podcast here